If you're one of the many people worldwide who are considering dating a Filipina and are inexperienced in having a relationship with a woman from the Philippines, then by the time you watch this entire video, you'll know if you're ready or not. So be sure to stay with me here. Now, the first thing I'll tell you straight up is to ask yourself why it is you want a relationship and possibly marriage with a Filipina. And you need to be honest with yourself here. Is your main reason because you want a younger, more attractive woman so you can impress some friends, or as a payback to the much older ex? Or are you going through some sort of midlife crisis and dating a Filipina sounds like a bit of fun? What we need to remember, and I'm sure most of you guys know this, but that is that dating a Filipina should be taken seriously. Many Filipinas have a tough enough life without you adding to their problems by giving them a world of hope just to help you through a particular phase in your life. Now, for those guys who are looking for a bit of short-term fun, there are many possibilities with some Filipinas as long as you're open and upfront with them. Now, the second thing is looking at what you know about Filipinas. And if you think they're like any other woman you've ever been with before, then think again. There is a vast difference, and one that requires plenty of research and learning prior to even looking for a Filipina to have any chance of any long-term success in a relationship. One should know that many Filipinas are religious. In fact, over 80% of the country's population are Catholics, with some being more religious than others. The highly religious Filipinas may believe in abstinence around a physical relationship prior to marriage, and so they may be inclined to speed the relationship up so they don't have to abstain for many years. Those Filipinas may also follow the Catholic Church's directive around not using artificial contraception should they venture into having a physical relationship either prior to marriage or after marriage. Now, this may be okay for you if you're happy to have plenty of children with your Filipina. Otherwise, if not, this is a great discussion to have around the use of contraception once you get to know the Filipina a little and you're thinking of the possibility of having a long-term relationship with her. Now, here's one that you may want to take notice of. Have you ever heard or do you know about Tampo, which is a culturally acceptable behaviour in a relationship between a Filipina and a Filipino man? But many foreign men will not tolerate Tampo, and many will consider this behaviour to be manipulative and childish. Now, for those of you that are not aware of what Tampo is, then I'll quickly explain. It's when a Filipina may become upset by something that you've said or done, even if you're not aware of what that might be. She won't communicate with you, and she may give you the silent treatment from anywhere from a couple of hours to a few days on end. And of course, there are varying degrees of Tampo, as not all Filipinas are the same. But know this, if your Filipina takes Tampo to the extreme, you'll be in for a nightmare of a relationship. So be sure to learn about Tampo by clicking on the link at the top of the screen when this video is completed, of course. Another major thing that you'll need to be very aware of is that Filipinas are extremely family orientated. They're very close to their parents, siblings, uncles, aunts, cousins and nephews. And one must note that a typical Filipino family can have many extended family members, and they all do like to help one another. In fact, many Filipinas, whether they're single or have children of their own, may still live with their parents until they marry. And as most of us would know, this is far different to those in the West who like to get out on their own as soon as possible to become what they call more independent. I must say that I like the idea of families staying together and looking out for one another, as long as they mostly get on well together. Now, something to note is that it's commonly a Filipina's role to help look after the parents as they get older, and it's a role that a Filipina will gladly accept. So this leads to the next thing you really need to be aware of to know if you're ready to date a Filipina. And that is, you'll find that many Filipinas, when they're single, they may go off and work, which often will be away from their home in the province. They do this to earn an income so they can help their parents and their family. And you need to realise that many of these Filipinas will send a good portion of their hard-earned pesos home to their family each month, usually leaving themselves the bare minimum to live on. That's how important many Filipinas will see her role as looking after her parents and family in the Philippines. So what happens when a Filipina finally marries a man in a foreign country and leaves the Philippines to start her life with this man in her new country? She doesn't automatically lose a sense of responsibility or duty to help her parents financially. For her to just stop helping her parents while she's so far away would be absolutely devastating for many Filipinas. So for many, they'll want to send money home on a monthly basis because it's what she's always done and what she believes to be the right thing to do. And of course, she loves her parents. This is why many Filipinas who go to live overseas after marriage will get a job and work very hard at that job, even if they don't like it, in order to be able to send money back to her parents. Simply put, this is who they are as Filipinas. And if this is a worry to you, then you probably should stop watching this video right now and forget all about dating a Filipina. Now, the next thing you may want to learn about is Filipino food, and especially budget or street food. Many Filipinas will enjoy such delicacies as balut, which is simply put a duck embryo, chicken intestines, chicken feet, pig's ears, and dried fish, just to name a few. Now, I'll go on record and say all those things I really detest, but my Filipina wife loves them all, so I'd never stop her from eating them as long as I don't have to. Now, that having been said, the Philippines also has some wonderful and very flavoursome foods, so don't be shy in trying some of these dishes when you get the chance. Now, the third thing that you really need to consider is what type of Filipina will you be looking for and where will you find her. Consider very carefully what traits, qualities and morals the Filipina should have. Should she be educated, speak good English, be attractive, how religious, does she want kids or does she already have kids? Is she a strong, independent woman who can look after herself well? Should she be over a certain age, possibly more mature than a young 20-year-old, and the list goes on. There really is so much to consider when looking for a Filipina that will be well suited to you, and vice versa. Once you have a clear idea of the type of woman that you're looking for, you need to make sure that you're aware of all the various love, dating or romance scams going on in the Philippines each and every day. The Philippines is a developing country with a good number of people in poverty, and as such, some will find love scams a good way to make money. I have a playlist on Philippines love scams you can check out at the end of this video to give you a lot of information on how to spot a love scam and to know the genuine Filipinas from the not so genuine Filipinas. Once you have all this information, now you're ready to find an amazing Filipina to spend your life with. But how do we find her? People may look on the free Facebook groups and some will get lucky, but the amount of Filipina scammers there is tremendous, and as such will reduce your chances of finding a good Filipina and increase your chances of becoming a love scam victim. One of the most popular ways is to go to an online dating site. Now, you still need to be careful because these sites will always have scammers there, but some will have more than others. That's why my recommendation is to go to one where many people have recommended, and that's why I always point people towards the Philippines' #1 dating site. Now, I recently did a video showing all the fantastic search features you can use on that site in order to increase your chances of finding a genuine Filipina. So be sure to check out that video by clicking on the card at the top of the screen, and I'll also put a link in the description as well. For other people, they may like the old-fashioned way of getting on a plane and going directly to the Philippines and finding a good Filipina themselves. It certainly does become an exciting adventure, and I also see the value in doing so. But unfortunately, many people don't have the luxury of doing this, so they'll start their search via online dating. And of course, with no air travel at this time into the Philippines, online dating becomes the only option. But it's a great opportunity to meet a good Filipina and to get to know her well without physical intimacy getting in the way and clouding our judgment. Now, if you've made it this far into the video, I congratulate you, and you'll now have plenty to consider. It may sound like a lot of work, and in some senses it is, but it's also very interesting in learning about the Filipina, her culture, food, and her country. I know for me that I never thought of it as hard work, as I was intrigued, and the more I learnt, the more I wanted to learn. And now, after more than 7 years together, I highly recommend dating and marrying a Filipina, but again, you must do all in your power to learn as much as you can so you can find the right Filipina for you. If you're looking for more valuable information and tips around dating a Filipina, then be sure to check out the playlist on screen now. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.